Hey guys, Lauren here. I'm up here in Alaska on a rainy day with my S7 STi. About 60 hours into the build. We are under quarantine like everybody else, so I've been able to work like 10, 12-hour days on this thing. Really making some good progress. So as you can see all the ribs in place on the horizontal, the elevator, the vertical, and the rudder. Each one of those ribs just needs a little bit taken off, just a little bit, to get them to fit just properly. One of the best recommendations I can recommend for you guys is one of these with all the fixings, all the sanding disc, cutting discs, everything. Just, you will use the crap out of this thing just for hogging out little pieces here and there. It's worth its weight, trust me. Coming over to the horizontal. The foam they provide for the tips is this foam. It flakes off, and it's pretty difficult to work with. I tried, I didn't like it. So what I did was, I don't have access to balsa. There's no hobby shops out here, out in the valley, and everything's closed anyways. So I went and I got expanding foam. And this stuff works pretty good. It looks like crap when you first put it on there. It's all globby and whatnot, but you shave it down with a bread cutting knife and you sand it. And obviously there's still imperfections, but it's a good base layer for when you put your high sol on there. So you put your high sol on there, sand it down, and then you finish the imperfections with superfill. This does not come with the kit. However, I recommend getting it for all the little spots where you want to make it nice and smooth, especially where the covering areas. $35, I believe I paid for that. It's basically airplane Bondo. The bearings and bushings. So these are a pain in the butt. You gotta start out by reaming this out. The best way to do that is put the shank of the reamer through and pull it so you know you're getting square, so you're not trying to start at a crooked angle. And the best way to do it is just get a pair of vice grips and work it through. Then, in order to press these bushings in, I used a pair of channel locks and I taped over the teeth so I wouldn't mar up the bronze bushing. Pressed it in about 50%, and then I used this bolt with washers to basically press it in. And I pressed it nice and square. After that, you have the bearing. The bearing is oversized. You have to sand it down. The best way to do it is chuck it in a drill and just run it until it sands itself smooth and just barely fits in there. It's supposed to slide in, and then also you'll have to ream the inside out because the bolt doesn't, AN3 I believe, does not fit through there. Just barely too big, so you just gotta take a little bit of material off there. Like I said, all the ribs are in place. It was brought to my attention that my root ribs are on the wrong side, so I fixed that last night. Kind of looks like crap right here. I'll end up cleaning all this up today. So, moving over here. If anybody is curious to see what the difference between the prefab kit and the non-prefab kit, here it is. Why do I have both, you ask? The reason being is when I purchased or did my initial order for my Kitfox, it was over a year ago, and the prefab kit was not standard at the time. So it was on the list, it fell off, and when I went to follow up, it was showing on the website, so I left it be. I was like, okay, well, it comes with it. Well, it didn't, so it's not a big deal. Got with Deborah at Kitfox, she dropped one in the mail the next day, and it got here on Monday. Quick. So this is stuff that you're supposed to make into stuff like this. It's a lot of it. Jury strut mounts, rudder pedal mounts, even it comes with a Laker leading edge template that you can make out of that purple foam in order to press on that Laker leading edge nice and square. It looks like this stuff's CNC'd. I mean, you can see it's even beveled Really nice. I'm glad that I got this. So, what else? Moving over here. Control column is in. It kind of hurt a little bit, especially the manual says that you have to grind a little bit here in order to get this pivot mount in there, and it stung a little bit to grind some of that powder coat out, but it fit. And let's see, it's nice and smooth. A little bit of tightness going fore and aft. I'm not sure if you're supposed to put grease on that Teflon block. If anybody could just let me know if you guys are putting grease on that, then I'll go ahead and do that. I've been playing with it a little bit. The tightness, this seems to be the most contributing factor of tightness and looseness. So I'm trying to get this nice and squared up. But overall, even if I had to fly with it the way it is, it's not bad at all. And moving back here, you guys remember me talking about keeping everything in the boxes. Well, after one time, just one, of digging for hardware on the very first portion, no more. So my wife organized all of this for me, and it is nice. It saves so much time, it's ridiculous. And I plan on doing the rest of the hardware, like the wing hardware. There's a big wing hardware box. Everything else is kind of big and not hard to find in the boxes, but for the fuselage hardware kit, organize it. Trust me, and thank me later. Here, trim actuator is in. I have my horizontal support struts on, but I don't have any of the female rod ends. All of them are still back ordered, so I'm waiting on those. And that goes for all the controls as well. I just did the control column because I didn't need those. And here you see the vertical and rudder are finished. Well, they're about 90%. I still need to do finish work on those. But ribs, fiberglass fairings are all in place. Not a fan of working with fiberglass, but it's pretty straightforward. Just a lot of prep work, sanding, fitting. You take this on and off like probably 10 times to get the gap set properly. What else? Inspection panel mounts. This is all done. Pretty easy work. Just follow the manual, spacing and whatnot. And then up here, this kind of looks like crap right now, but this will get filled in a little bit more with high sol, sanded smooth, and then super fill to blend all this so that when you cover it, it doesn't look like crap, basically. Anything you can feel with your hand, you're going to be able to see. So I learned that on that super code that I helped build a few weeks ago. This will get blended right here. You don't want any sharp edges either. And then back here, you'll see this sticking out. Some of these are like this. I'm gonna have to knock all this down, sand it smooth so that when everything is back here, it's not sticking out. So a lot of trial and error, fitment, sanding, but overall, pretty good progress for, what, 5 days? Things that have helped me stay organized is I have my work table, I have my manual and tool table. So when I have something new I'm working on, I work over here and put the tools back. That way you don't get scattered all around the shop and you rip your hair out trying to find a socket or a wrench or whatever. So there's that. Today I think I'm going to start on the floorboards and rudder pedals since the controls require the rod ends. And I don't want to get started, pull all the parts out, and then them not show up for a while and the parts start disappearing and scattering and getting mixed up. So just go with stuff that I have all the hardware for and parts, knock it out, cross it off the list. Also, these grips, if anybody's curious, Brian Bowen sells these. He is Bow and Arrow LLC. He also sells Behringer kits for the Kitfoxes. I plan to use that. I just can't afford it right now. Well, in a little bit. But he has them all different kinds of colors. He does rubber and leather and powder coated buttons and the trim pieces. Since I'm doing black and red, I opted black and red. It's even got like nice stitching. So there's that. Other than that, that's about it. So I will give you guys an update here in a couple days, and we'll see you then. See ya.